Hello everyone, I'm D-Lo. I am J-Lo's husband. So how am I feeling in regards to the upcoming surgery? I'm more anxious about it than I was the first time around for some of the same reasons that my wife was. She's older, that are issues to be considered now that weren't necessarily issues to be considered then, like a stroke and other things, and they're going to be in there longer. They're going to be removing what was there before and then, fixing that and then doing additional things. It's just a lot longer period of time in the surgery. And so some anxiousness, and some of it, I know that technology is advanced, so I do have some security in that. I don't know if security is the right word, some faith in that, and some anxiety, and more so than the first time around. I work in the electrical industry, so there's going to be refurb on what they did first and then go in and do new work. Just as much work as there was done before with additional work. The longer you spend in the operation, there's more chance something you didn't want to happen can happen. I'm anxious about that. My wife's always had a little bit of a problem recovering from anesthesia. And so being under that long, that's that much more anesthesia in her body, and the recovery from that as well. Just the recovery from the surgery, recovery from the anesthesia will be longer. J-Lo and I were just looking at some old videos, like before our third son was born, and just to see my wife smile and not see it have to be something strained or something where she can't even move part of her own face. I hope to see that. I hope that part of her recovers 100%. And that she can, and the debilitation, she's talked about it in these videos, but just, there's things she hasn't said to me, but she didn't need to say to me, because I can see it. I've sat and watched it. I've had a front row seat to this. And I've just watched the deterioration, and there's things we can't do together because of this. By the end of a workday, she's done, and it's extremely difficult for her to do anything some days, especially if it was a hard work day. And it wasn't like that before. For those of you out there who are friend, family, spouse, parent of someone dealing with this, with HFS, with hemifacial spasm. In the beginning, for me, it was hard to understand how much strain this was causing. I think one big turning point for me was when I cuddled up to Janite in bed, and I was kind of face to face with her, or cheek to cheek to her, and I couldn't do it because I could feel her face twitching in it, and it irritated me, and it was not comforting. And that still in my brain is just not, it's hard to describe. But it's happening to them all the time. All the time. We think it's just what we can see when we can see it, but it's happening to them all the time. If their heart is beating, it's happening to them. And as long as their heart is beating, the nerve is being irritated, their face is twitching, and to understand that they are dealing with it every second. They're awake or they're asleep. And just feeling my wife's face twitching while she was sleeping. She wakes up with a headache. This has caused her recent hearing problems. And she bought some cheap hearing aids, and she put the hearing aid in her ear, and she could feel her ear canal pulsing against the hearing aid. So it wasn't just what we could visibly see on her face, it's internal to their body as well. And just to understand that, to have sympathy for that, to think of it's something that is just constant. There is no recovery until they're treat it with the Botox or get the surgery for a full recovery. But that's the one thing I would share, is be sympathetic, be empathetic, that it is always there, always there. As far as any final thoughts or comments, I'm looking forward, and this isn't guaranteed, but I'm really hope my wife can spend majority of a day, and as each day goes along, without face twitching, without the sensation of that, not having to fight with her own body to just function normally through a day. And that to see the first few days of that, and to see as each day progresses, that she could get better. There's part of me, since the first surgery basically did nothing, that I have a very reserved and very pensive hope on this second surgery. And always in the back of my mind of thinking, what the first one didn't work, but maybe this second one won't work as well either. But yet, hoping that it will, and that it does, that she could just come back to some sense of normalcy.